All right, so we're diving back into the world of Moroi, Dampiers, and Strigoi, and things are about as intense as they get.
You know, when we last left Rose Hathaway, she was in some seriously deep trouble.
Oh yeah, facing execution for murdering Queen Tatiana, no less. Locked up, no alibi, the whole 9 yards. Talk about a cliffhanger.
And that's exactly where we're picking up. Our mission today is to break down the situation Rose finds herself in using excerpts from Last Sacrifice. So we're going to be unpacking the evidence against her, those surprising events that shake up the Moroi royal court after Tatiana's death, and really trying to understand what's at stake for everyone involved.
For those of you joining us for the first time, or maybe just need a quick refresher, this deep dive is all about getting to those key takeaways. You know, those turning points, those aha moments that'll leave you feeling like you've got the inside scoop without drowning in every single detail.
Right. We're aiming to provide you with a solid grasp of this pivotal moment in the story.
So let's start with Rose's prison cell. Now, it's not your typical medieval dungeon.
It's described as being more like a sterile hospital room. Almost.
Yeah, which in a way feels even more isolating, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a different kind of confinement. Designed, it seems, to break down her morale through that coldness and lack of any real comfort. You know, more psychological pressure rather than physical torment.
And she's there because the Moroi Council, well, they think they've got enough evidence to try her for Tatiana's murder. The problem is, no one can vouch for where she was when it happened.
Yeah, so that leaves her in a pretty vulnerable position.
Right. The assumption seems to be she's guilty until proven innocent.
And that's a tough spot to be in, especially in this world.
You know, especially with so much at stake.
Oh, absolutely. Now, Lissa, being the incredible friend that she is fighting like crazy to clear Rose's name. But the royal court, they're consumed with preparations for Tatiana's funeral. I mean, we're talking a massive gathering of Moroi and Dampiers, all focused on this event. Yeah, the death of a monarch is a pretty major deal in their society. It triggers all these deep-seated rituals and, of course, the whole process of transferring power. So it's this very intense period of mourning and ceremony. It's understandable that other things, even a murder investigation, might get overshadowed.
Right. And then we have Abe Mazur. He shows up, always a man with a plan. And he hints that the trial might be moved forward, which at first you'd think, okay, good, get it over with.
Right.
But Abe's reaction, it's just that might not be the best thing for Rose.
Yeah, I think Abe, with all his experience navigating the ins and outs of the Moroi world, probably senses that a rushed trial, you know, before all the pieces are in place, it could be really bad for Rose. In this case, time might actually be her most valuable resource, and it's a resource that's quickly running out.
Right. You're talking, what, 2 weeks? Maybe less?
Yeah.
And the penalty for killing a queen?
Execution.
Not imprisonment, execution.
Yeah.
That shows you just how serious this is. It's not just about punishing a crime, it's about upholding their entire social order.
Yeah, the potential consequences. They really underscore just how serious this accusation is.
But then, hold on, during a court appearance, Abe just drops this bombshell. He says Rose won't be executed, won't even go to trial.
Yeah.
And Abe, well, he's not exactly known for making empty promises. So what do you think he might have up his sleeve?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, Abe's confidence definitely suggests he has some kind of strategy, some way to work around these legal proceedings. Maybe he knows something we don't or has some ace up his sleeve. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Okay, buckle up because things get even more complicated. A note written by Tatiana herself is discovered in the courtroom. And it mentions new laws being put into place, which apparently could put Lissa in danger. And let's not forget, there are people in this world who don't think twice about taking a life.
Right. This note really introduces a whole new layer of political intrigue. I mean, new laws always create winners and losers. They can really shake up the balance of power. And if Lissa is perceived as being on the losing side, well, it makes sense that she might be a target.
And then, hold on to your hats because this next bit is huge. It turns out Lissa might have a living Dragomir relative. She's always believed she was the last of her line.
Yeah, if this is true, it could completely change everything.
This is a game changer for the entire Moroi world. The Dragomir lineage carries so much weight, historically and politically.
Absolutely. And imagine what this could mean for Lissa's position. I mean, potentially it could even give her a voice on the council, something she's desperately wanted.
Oh yeah, huge implications there. Now, on a slightly different note, the preparations for Tatiana's funeral sound, well, kind of bizarre.
A little over the top, maybe.
They dress her in this Halloween-esque gown in all that humidity. It's a choice. I guess Moroi traditions have their own, well, flair.
Let's just say they're not exactly known for their practicality. Tradition trumps comfort, I guess, even in death.
It definitely gives you a glimpse into their world. Now, Christian and Adrian, always the curious ones, they're suspicious about something else. Specifically, something Tatiana said before she died.
Right. She publicly stated she believed Dimitri was truly a Dhampir again, despite, everything that happened.
And she even said she'd help him get back into society once the whole age law thing settled down. Remember, that was the rule, forcing Dhampirs to graduate early and become guardians sooner.
Yeah, it was pretty controversial. So it seems like Tatiana might have been going against the grain, trying to support Dimitri despite the stigma. It definitely raises questions about her motives.
And what about Rose? Stuck in that cell, unable to do anything. You know she hates relying on others to fight her battles.
Yeah, she's used to being the one taking charge, so this situation must be incredibly frustrating for her.
Absolutely. To make matters worse, the bond she shares with Lissa, that psychic connection, it starts to feel, well, muted, weaker.
Yeah, and especially after Lissa brought Dimitri back, that took a huge amount of magic. Maybe there are some lingering effects.
But this feels different, almost like a bad omen. Then, just when things seem bleakest, we get this incredible turn of events. Dimitri, who's under house arrest, he breaks free.
Yeah, and shows up with Eddie.
Right when the funeral procession's about to begin.
Yeah.
Talk about cutting it close.
Yeah, pretty daring, risking everything to help Rose. And I think the timing, with all the chaos of the funeral, it actually works in their favor. Provides a bit of cover.
Now, we can't forget Adrian. He's there too. And being the resourceful spirit user he is, he manages to make them all appear. Well, kind of vague. Nondescript. Very useful when you're trying to escape unnoticed.
Yeah, he's not using compulsion, really. It's more like he's manipulating how people perceive them, creating a sort of mental camouflage. He's definitely getting more skilled with his magic.
Mikhail, always the observant one, points out that everyone is so focused on the funeral, they probably would even notice a few extra people slipping away, which, amazingly, turns out to be true.
Right, everyone's attention is elsewhere. I guess in moments of heightened emotion, sometimes the unexpected can slip right past you.
And get this, Abe is there too. Dimitri's not thrilled about involving him, but Abe insists on being part of the rescue.
Yeah, Abe's continued presence definitely suggests he's deeply invested in Rose's fate. And his earlier promise about her not going to trial, it makes you think he has a larger plan in motion.
Right, so their immediate priority is to get Rose away from the royal court, somewhere safe. Dimitri even gives her a silver stake. I mean, it's a pretty standard weapon in their world, but still, it's comforting, right?
Yeah, it's both practical and symbolic, equipping her to defend herself in a world full of danger.
But simply leaving the court grounds turns out to be a huge challenge. There's a lockdown in place, and it sounds like a massive traffic jam.
The very measures designed to protect the court, they become obstacles to their escape.
It's the classic double-edged sword of living in such a tightly controlled society. But Lissa, ever the quick thinker, manages to create this mental barrier, allowing them to communicate even though they're separated. So their bond might be a little shaky right now, but it's still incredibly powerful.
It's their lifeline, really, a way to coordinate their actions and stay connected, which is essential when you're trying to make a getaway.
Now, behind the wheel we have, surprise, surprise, Dimitri. Again, some things never change, much to Rose's annoyance.
Even in the middle of a crisis, some dynamics just persist.
Exactly. But then, just when you think they've got no chance, Sydney appears, with a change of clothes and another car. Apparently, she has these connections to Rose we didn't know about. Maybe something to do with the alchemists. That whole network is shrouded in secrecy.
It definitely hints at a pre-existing alliance, or at least a willingness to help. And the alchemists are famous for their discreet involvement in Moroi affairs.
Right, they always seem to be lurking in the shadows. There's a bit of a scuffle during the escape. Someone rips Rose's sleeve, she loses her hat. So yeah, not exactly a smooth getaway.
Well, it wouldn't be a true escape without at least a little bit of chaos.
True. But throughout all of this, Dimitri remains totally confident in Rose's abilities. It just shows you the strength of their bond, despite all the complications.
His belief in her is unwavering. It speaks volumes about the depth of their connection.
Oh, and one more thing. Dimitri has a gun tucked in his belt. Not exactly standard Guardian equipment. Understandably, Rose is a little freaked out by this.
Yeah, that's a pretty significant detail, and definitely raises questions about his state of mind and, well, what he's prepared to do.
Yeah, where did he even get it? So they managed to find a motel, a temporary hideout. Not exactly the safest of havens, but it gives them a chance to regroup. And Lissa, bless her heart, manages to send a message through their bond. A little reassurance for Rose.
Yeah, for once it seems like Lissa's the one taking care of Rose, which is kind of a role reversal for them.
It shows you how strong their friendship is, even when things are tough.
Hmm?
But, being Rose, she's not content to just sit and wait. So naturally, an argument erupts. Stay hidden or take action.
Yeah, that's classic Rose and Dimitri, two very different approaches to a crisis. He's all about caution, survival. She's ready to jump in, investigate, fix things.
And all that tension in the motel room, well, it leads to a pretty surprising moment, a kiss between Rose and Dimitri. So, yeah, things just got a lot more complicated.
It's clear there are still some very strong feelings between them, even with all the baggage.
Oh, absolutely. Meanwhile, back at the Guardians' headquarters, Rose mentally checks in on Lissa using their bond. Lissa's being questioned about Tatiana's death, along with Christian and Tasha. It seems the investigation is in full swing.
It's a high-pressure situation, and they're all walking a tightrope trying to protect themselves and each other.
Yeah, and Lissa comes up with this alibi for Dimitri. She claims he helped Tatiana escape because he was in love with her and believes she was innocent. Risky, right?
It's a bold strategy, for sure, trying to explain his actions through passion, even if it seems a little far-fetched.
But Hans, that tough old guardian, he's not buying it. It brings up the fact that Dimitri attacked other guardians, destroyed those valuable statues.
Yeah, not exactly the actions of someone trying to help a queen escape out of love.
Exactly. Then Eddie gets interrogated and he sticks to Lissa's story. Bless his heart. He's fiercely loyal, that one.
I'm a wavering support. It's impressive.
And Tasha, unexpectedly, warns Lissa and Christian that Hans is still suspicious. So even though they're under scrutiny, they're still looking out for each other.
Yeah, it shows that there's still some sense of camaraderie, even in a situation like this, and it definitely highlights the fact that they're not out of the woods yet.
Now, Abe, ever the voice of reason, he advises them to take things one step at a time when it comes to figuring out Tatiana's murder.
Sound advice, but not always easy to follow when you're in the middle of a crisis.
Right, especially when your best friend is the main suspect. Lissa expresses concern about who the new monarch will be, hoping for someone who'll be good for their people.
Yeah, she really cares about the future of the Moroi world. It's frustrating for her that she doesn't even have a vote in the election.
It highlights how limited her power is, despite being royalty. Meanwhile, back at the motel, the tension between Rose and Dimitri is still simmering. They're arguing, they're literally wrestling with each other. It's clear their relationship is far from simple.
Yeah, their physical altercations almost mirror the internal conflicts they're both going through.
It's a very complicated dynamic. Then, flashing police lights. The motel is surrounded. Their attempt to stay hidden has failed. Time to move again.
Their cover is blown. They need to get out of there fast.
And then Sydney reveals they specifically researched this town before coming here, so this wasn't just a random stop. There's a plan, at least to some degree.
Yeah, it suggests a level of preparation, which is reassuring given how chaotic everything else has been.
And then boom, Tatiana's note reveals a massive secret. Lissa has a sibling, a living sibling. I mean, talk about a bombshell. This changes everything they thought they knew about the Dragomir line.
It's a game changer for sure, and could have huge implications for Lissa's future, her claim to any kind of power.
Rose, as always, trusts her gut feeling and argues Tatiana's message is legit. She's been right before, relying on her instincts.
Rose's intuition is often linked to her connection to spirit, even if those messages can be a bit murky.
Right. But Sydney and Dimitri, well, they're skeptical, and rightfully so. Spirit can be tricky.
It's not always the most reliable source of information.
And then just when you think it can't get more crowded in this tiny motel room, Adrian shows up.
Like a moth to a flame, he can't resist being where the action is, especially when Rose is involved.
Right, so Rose overhears Lissa compelling this Moroi named Joe. It turns out he lied about when he saw Rose. And get this, he was paid off by an ordinary Moroi, no less. That's a huge clue.
It points to a deliberate attempt to frame Rose, and the fact it was an ordinary Moroi who did it. It suggests a level of orchestration that needs further investigation.
It's getting deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
And Adrian, well, his reaction to this news is dark. He wants to talk to Mikhail. Clearly, things are escalating.
He's probably considering some more forceful methods.
Yeah, it's Adrian. Always ready for a fight. Okay, now they're deep in the forest meeting up with Sydney's contact. It's this clandestine gathering of vehicles in a secluded clearing. It feels very cloak and dagger.
A lot of secrecy, a lot of tension. Definitely suggests they're dealing with people who prefer to stay hidden.
And Sydney drops this term, the tainted. I'm assuming that's their word for Strigoi.
Hmm.
Or could it be something else?
It's usually used to refer to strigoi, but in this context, it could also be a broader term. Anyone considered dangerous outside the accepted norms.
Interesting. Now, the Moroi leader they meet, he's suspicious. He's wondering if they're spies. I mean, can you blame him?
Not at all. They've just shown up out of nowhere asking for help. He needs to protect his people.
Right. Now, here's the surprising part. This community, it's a mix of Moroi, Dhampirs, and even humans. Not exactly the usual predator-prey situation you might expect.
Yeah, it's a different dynamic. They found a way to coexist, perhaps for mutual benefit or
Yes.
protection.
A kind of alternative society, almost. Two members, Sarah and Joshua, they mentioned the alchemists used to bring them supplies. But Sydney gets this uneasy look, saying there haven't been any recent deliveries.
Yeah, it suggests there might be some trouble brewing within the alchemist network, or maybe with the alchemist's ability to reach them.
Not a good sign. Now, Rose, she's not exactly thrilled about the prospect of a possum stew. Some culinary lines you just don't cross.
Right. Even in a crisis, food preferences matter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this community, they're very self-sufficient and very wary of outsiders.
They have to be. It's a dangerous world, and they've learned to rely on themselves.
They meet Angeline, Joshua's sister,
Mm.
and let's just say there are some instant sparks between her and Rose. Not the good kind.
Oh, yeah, instant animosity. It's clear they're going to clash.
Oh, yeah. And then, wait for it, Victor Dashkov and Robert show up, of all places. Victor claims he knows what's going on at court and even offers to help.
Talk about a wolf in sheep's clothing. Victor is the last person I'd trust in this situation.
He always has some angle. Of course he knows about Rose's escape. The guy seems to have eyes and ears everywhere.
His information network is impressive. Even when he seems out of the picture, he's somehow in the know.
It's unsettling, to say the least. And predictably, Victor wants to use Lissa for his own gain. He even suggests she should run for queen. Rose is like, absolutely not.
Yeah, Victor's all about power. He sees Lissa as a pawn in his schemes.
Exactly. Rose has this dream about Victor and Robert.
Yeah.
And even her subconscious is picking up on their manipulative vibes.
Spirit dreams can be very revealing. It's like a warning sign.
Okay, switching gears back to court. Christian is understandably worried about Rose. He overheard some guardians talking about using deadly force.
Yeah, that's not good. Things are definitely escalating. And it shows how serious the Moroi authorities are taking this whole situation.
Meanwhile, Adrian's mother is up to her usual tricks, trying to bribe people to clear his name. And Mikhail, bless him, he's planning to question Joe, the Moroi Lissa compelled, but this time, privately.
So they're working on multiple fronts, trying to uncover the truth and protect their own.
It's good they have people on the inside looking out for them. Back with Rose and the others, they meet Joshua's father, Raymond, who has this Zvezda tattoo. It means he's fought a lot of Strigoi.
Yeah, you get a sense of the dangers they face out here, living on the fringes.
It's definitely a different world. Now, Joshua, he admits that at first he thought Rose was capable of killing Tatiana. I guess her reputation precedes her.
She does have a history of being, well, fiercely protective of Lissa, and not always by the book.
Exactly. Sydney explains that the keepers, Joshua's people, are considered savage by some, with a real emphasis on physical strength. It's a very different culture than the alchemists.
Oh yeah, night and day. Sydney is definitely out of her comfort zone here.
Definitely. So they leave the keeper settlement and continue on the run.
Still searching for answers, still evading the authorities.
It's nonstop. Next stop, they end up in a place called Rubiesville. And Sydney, well, she takes advantage of modern technology, goes online and does some research. It's kind of funny, to see this blend of magic and the internet in their world.
Using all available resources, whatever it takes to get the information they need.
Right. Then there's this random moment where Dimitri is totally fascinated by Mitchell, South Dakota, specifically the Corn Palace. I mean, leave it to Dimitri to find the quirky attractions wherever they go.
It's a little moment of lightheartedness amidst all the drama.
Yeah, he's got a unique way of looking at things. And then he gets in touch with someone named Boris, another mysterious contact from his past. Who knows what role this guy will play?
It's like Dimitri has this whole network of people he can call on. It's always intriguing when someone new is introduced into the mix.
Okay, here's a major turning point. Rose decides to stay with Joshua to learn more about his people, while Sydney and Dimitri continue on their own. Now, splitting up when you're already in danger, not exactly ideal, right?
It's risky, but it also allows them to cover more ground. And Rose is clearly hoping that Joshua and his community might have some valuable information or resources that could help.
It's a strategic move. So Joshua takes Rose to their mountain dwelling. It's this network of caves, both natural and some that were made through mining.
Definitely not the luxurious accommodations Rose is used to.
Not even close. She's a little, how do I put this nicely? A little snobby about the rustic conditions.
City girl through and through.
It's kind of funny to see her reaction. And Joshua, well, he's sensitive to her unease and asks if she sees them as savage. There's a definite cultural clash happening here.
It's clear they come from very different worlds.
And speaking of different worlds, Joshua, well, he makes a romantic move on Rose, who gently turns him down.
Poor Joshua. Bad timing, maybe.
Definitely. She mentions there's someone else at the tainted court. Ouch. Before she leaves, Joshua gives her a handmade bracelet, a sweet gesture, even if things aren't exactly romantic between them.
Maybe a token of respect or friendship.
Possibly. And then, just when you think they're about to part ways peacefully, a fight breaks out between Rose and Angeline. It's apparently some kind of keeper custom. Dimitri just watches, doesn't interfere.
It's clear that physical confrontation is a normal part of their culture, a way to settle disputes.
Yeah, very different from the Moroi way of doing things. And Sydney, she's rather amused by the whole thing. It seems she's confirmed her assessment of them as savage.
It's all very entertaining from her perspective.
Okay, back at court, Lissa's being questioned by Ambrose about Tatiana's lovers. Bleak is mentioned, and even Ambrose himself is a possibility. And apparently, Tatiana found Adrian amusing. It sounds like her personal life is pretty complicated.
Yeah, the investigation is now focusing on potential motives related to Tatiana's relationships.
Right. And Ambrose admits there was an understanding between him and Tatiana, something about other lovers. It definitely paints a more complex picture of their relationship.
Yeah, maybe not as straightforward as it seemed. And it opens up a whole new set of potential suspects.
Oh yeah, jealousy and betrayal, always a good motive for murder. Now, things are getting chaotic at court. Guardians are trying to control the crowds who are all waiting for the election news. It's tense, everyone's on edge.
Yeah, the anticipation is running high.
Christian, Adrian, Eddie, and Mia are all there. But Abe is nowhere to be seen, which always makes you wonder what he's up to.
He's probably working behind the scenes, pulling strings.
Right. And Nathan Vashkov, he's trying to manipulate the nominations. The political maneuvering has already begun.
Classic power play, trying to control the outcome before the vote even happens.
Exactly. But then, this completely unexpected twist. Christian and Adrian nominate Lissa for queen. I mean, wow, talk about a curveball.
Totally blindsides everyone.
But Nathan, he's not having it.
Yeah.
He immediately declares Lissa ineligible. Something about the Dragomir line's current standing with the council. It's all very technical and bureaucratic.
They're using the rules to block her candidacy.
Yeah, it's frustrating. But Tasha, ever loyal, she jumps in and argues against Nathan's ruling.
She's not going to let them silence Lissa without a fight.
No way.
Yeah.
And Lissa, she is furious. Feels like she's been set up for a political nightmare.
I mean, can you imagine? Suddenly being thrust into the spotlight, nominated for a position you never even wanted?
It's a lot to handle. But then Abe reappears and reveals that this whole thing, it was a strategy to delay the election, buy time for them to save Rose and find the real killer. It's a huge gamble.
A very high-stakes plan.
And Christian, he points out that whoever killed Tatiana probably has a vested interest in who becomes the next monarch. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Follow the power, right?
Absolutely. It's a classic motive.
But Lissa, she's still frustrated. Feels like she's being manipulated by her friends. And I can understand why she'd feel that way.
Yeah, they basically used her, without her full consent, even if it was for a good cause.
Adrian admits they were banking on Lissa accepting the nomination if she was caught off guard.
A risky move, relying on impulse like that.
Yeah, it could have backfired spectacularly. But Tasha, ever the optimist, says she thinks Lissa would actually make a great queen. It's a nice moment of support.
Yeah, a little boost for Lissa's confidence, which she probably needs right now.
Okay, so Rose and the others, they've moved on to tracking down this guy Donovan, who has connections to the Strigoi world.
Dangerous territory.
Yeah, for sure. They decide to go undercover, with Rose and Sydney putting on disguises.
A little espionage. Always exciting.
They set a trap for Donovan in this rundown part of town, near a tattoo parlor and a nightclub. It's not exactly the safest environment.
Definitely not a place for the faint of heart.
And Dimitri, well, he uses his Strigoi voice as part of the plan. It must be terrifying to hear, but hopefully effective.
Yeah, using his past trauma as a weapon almost.
It's disturbing, but I guess desperate times call for desperate measures. So they confront Donovan and his associates. Turns out these guys are aware of Dampier's, so the disguises only work for so long.
Yeah, they're not dealing with amateurs here. These guys know what they're up against.
And of course, a fight breaks out. Rose uses her stake. Dimitri, well, he loses it. His rage towards Donovan is intense, almost primal. It's like he's back to being a Strigoi for a moment. He wants to kill him.
The trauma of his transformation, it's clearly still with him. He's fighting those impulses.
It's scary to see. But Rose, she manages to stop him. Reminds him they need information. Revenge can wait.
Yeah, she's thinking clearly, even in the heat of the moment.
Which is good,
Yeah.
because Donovan finally cracks and reveals he was working for someone else. Sonia Karp.
Another piece of the puzzle falls into place.
But Dimitri is devastated by this. He has history with Sonia, and it's clearly painful for him.
You can see the weight of his past, how much it still affects him.
Sydney gets him out of there, and they find another hotel. Rose has more spirit dreams, this time featuring the Dashkoff brothers. Their words are cryptic, as always, but Victor mentions that Sonia has a large family. Could be a clue.
It's like her dreams are trying to tell her something, but it's hard to decipher the message.
And then another dream, this time with Adrian. He's still struggling with his spirit magic, afraid of becoming like Lissa, and he's relying on alcohol to cope. It's worrying.
Yeah, he's not in a good place, and alcohol is definitely not a healthy way to deal with magic that powerful.
So, following the Sonia Karp lead, they end up at this secluded property, heavily fenced, almost like a fortress.
Not the kind of place you just casually stroll into.
Definitely not. They end up having to climb the fence using a chain.
Subtlety has never been their strong suit.
Right. And when they find Sonia, well, she's in a catatonic state, still showing signs of being a Strigoi. Something's definitely wrong.
It's like she's trapped somewhere between human and Strigoi.
And guess who else is there?
The Dashkoff brothers.
Always lurking. They make the decision to bind Sonia, try and question her. It's a tough call, given her state.
What? They're desperate for answers.
And then, out of nowhere, Robert stakes Sonia. It's shocking. Brutal. Why would he do that?
That makes no sense.
But then, something unbelievable happens. Sonia comes back to life as a Moroi.
Just like Dimitri, it's miraculous and incredibly rare.
Rose, Dimitri, and Sydney, they're stunned. Victor, though, he's furious.
Robert just threw a major wrench in his plans.
Yeah, whatever he was hoping to achieve, this wasn't it. Dimitri is instantly protective of Sonia.
He knows what it's like to go through that kind of transformation, the trauma, the confusion.
He understands what she needs.
Mm.
They decide not to question her right now. She needs time to recover. Rose is torn. She wants to be with Lissa, but she feels drawn to stay with Sonia.
Yeah, it's a difficult position. Two people she cares about, both in need of support.